It's like, oh my gosh, this place is nuts. The whole world is tilted. The road, we have some pictures of this, and the road is level, but everything else is just, what is going on?
It looks like when I took the picture, it looks like I was like drunk. Like I couldn't keep the camera straight. That's how it looks.
Exactly.
So it's crazy. This is the Exploring the National Parks podcast with Dirt in My Shoes. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I think that the parks are best seen from the trail, and I'm here to make national park trip planning easy.
And I'm John. I carry the kids on the trails, I tell stories, and notice all the things that Ash doesn't care about much, like birds.
Join us as we show you around America's spectacular national parks.
We're sharing our favorite places, fun facts, adventures, and misadventures.
And we'll even throw in a little trip planning.
Let's start exploring.
It's the best time of the year. It's summer.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited. I hope that you're listening to this from somewhere really cool.
Yeah, I agree. The sun is shining. Oh, what's that line from Finding Nemo?
Clean.
The tank is clean.
Anyway, we're really excited that summer is here and it's national park season. A lot of you are probably out on the road doing something fun.
Ideally, we're talking to you while you're eating Swedish fish or Mike and Ike's and traveling at 75 miles an hour down the road.
Listen, I'm so excited for today because we're talking about my favorite Utah park.
Yes.
Not only do I love summer, like summer is the best. I live for summer. My birthday's in the summer. You know, you get to do barbecues. 4th of July, that's my favorite holiday.
Yep.
All the good stuff is in summer. And then we get to top it off with a little talk about Capitol Reef.
Yes.
How long have I said this is my favorite park?
As long as I've known you.
Yeah.
Like, I think you may have even mentioned it, like, on our first date.
I'm a weirdo because at least back then, we've been married for a while, but Capitol Reef has always been my favorite Utah park, even when nobody knew about it.
Right.
And even before, like, all the pies got famous on Instagram, and now everybody's like, we got to go to Capitol Reef to get pie. And it's like, I've loved this park so much longer than that.
It's true.
So I'm really excited to talk about it and to just share some of our favorite places.
Do you know why I think you brought it up on our first date?
No.
Because you introduced me to Chacos on our first date, and I didn't see the appeal. And you were like, let me tell you about how great these shoes are in all types of conditions.
I think I also had gone to Capitol Reef
very recently
while we were dating. Yeah. So at least sometime in there, and maybe I brought it up because I was getting ready to go hiking down in Capitol Reef in my Chacos. Yeah. Which I love.
You thought I was nuts. And I thought you were nuts. And
then we got married.
And
now we're both nuts.
Yes.
Together.
But if you don't know where Capitol Reef is, it's kind of in no man's land between the national parks in Utah that people generally connect together.
That you know, that you've heard of.
People usually put Zion and Bryce Canyon together on the southwest side, and people usually put Arches and Canyonlands together on the east side of Utah. And Capitol Reef is just kind of in the middle.
It's in the middle, which is cool, actually, because if you're doing the Mighty 5 road trip, you have Scenic Highway 12 that connects Bryce Canyon to, over to Arches, kind of. And Capitol Reef is basically along that highway.
Right.
It's just a little bit beyond that highway. And so you're in the middle of some scenery in Utah that a lot of people don't get to, but you absolutely should get to because it's beautiful. It's amazing out there.
It's incredible.
But it is. It's not really southern Utah. It's like smack dab in the middle of the southern part. Just off by itself.
It's awesome. It's the middle child of all the Utah national parks. Like me. It's just got everything. It's the full package.
That's the thing, though. It's a full package. But I have always said that. The reason I love Capitol Reef is because not as many people go there. It definitely is less visited than a lot of the other parks. And it still has elements. It takes all the cool elements out of these other national parks in Utah and puts them all in one spot.
Right.
So you get those giant red rock monoliths like you do in Zion, and you have arches like you do in Arches, and you get really cool viewpoints and like big canyons and stuff like Canyonlands.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I know it really is crazy that you can kind of have all of those things. You don't get hoodoos.
Nope, not really.
But you do get just really weird rock formations.
Like the Golden Throne is just kind of like a giant hoodoo, though.
Well, and
I would say.
Well, that's a monolith, but yes. But you know, you get into Cathedral Valley and you've got lots of really cool stuff. You've got like the Bentonite Hills, which are really colorful, muddy, clayey hills.
Right. Yeah.
That are really cool. So you kind of get the slot canyons that a lot of the parks, you know, people want to go for those. Like you would expect
in Zion with the Narrows and things like that. You get that here in Capitol Reef.
Yeah.
And one thing that I love about Canyonlands is how adventurous it is. This is an adventurous park.
It is. And so I'm really excited actually to jump in because there's really two parts as we explore Capitol Reef together. You've got the paved part, which is very small.
Yes.
There's not a lot of pavement in this park.
It's amazing. If you look at the map, you keep unrolling the map and you're like, oh my gosh. And it's just
goes
like
all the way down there. Yeah.
It's like the letter T in like a lowercase T, if you think of it in terms of like the paved roads versus the non-paved roads. The straight up and down is the unpaved roads. And then you have this little tiny cross section of paved road at the top of the letter. That crosses the park from east to west. Talking
about it today is going to be really interesting because let's start with the pavement.
Okay.
Because that really is what most people do. If you are like everybody else, Capitol Reef is probably an afterthought. And you're probably coming through here and you're like, we got a day to spend in Capitol Reef as we travel between these other parks we would much rather see.
Right.
And so if you're going to go to Capitol Reef that way, which again is how most people see it, then you are probably just mostly going to stick to the pavement. That makes sense. If you can give yourself some extra time, which I feel like I'm always saying, like, just give yourself some extra time. Just add a little bit more time.
Add a day or two to your trip. It's just fine.
You add in an extra day, and that really allows you to get off the pavement, which for me is my favorite part about Capitol Reef.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Magical.
If you do get off the pavement, like the size of this park just blows you away.
Yeah.
And it actually adds to a lot of the acreage because you have to go outside the national park boundaries for a lot of these 4x4 dirt roads. And so you're exploring areas that are outside the park boundaries, but are super cool and add to the whole experience.
I want to insert one thing here, and that is that the Capitol Reef itinerary is done. It's done. It's ready. So it's releasing today.
So excited.
I have Capitol Reef on the mind. I have been just digging through all my Capitol Reef stuff from visits that I've taken over my entire life. I have so many memories of visiting this park, and we just went not that long ago, too. So yeah, we're back there fairly often. But anyway, the itinerary is now live. So if you go to dirtandmyshoes.com, go to trip itineraries, click on Capitol Reef, you can get it for just the next few days for 25% off. That's the cheapest it will ever be. I always put them as cheap as they'll go for the release.
Right.
And so 25% off, just use coupon code REEF25.
Right.
REEF25. You can get that itinerary because it's live. It's ready to go. I am so excited. That rounds out all 5 Utah parks. So now you can get all 5.
This may have been like the most excited Ash has been about an itinerary in a long time. Because this is kind of like this one specifically was like a labor of love for her. I could tell because she was like, I love this park so much. It has to be perfect. And I can't believe I had to do this one last out of all the Utah parks.
I know. Nobody has asked for Capitol Reef.
This is you're just giving it to the people.
I'm like, this just needs to be here.
Please take this.
Please use it. It's such a cool park.
It's such a cool park.
Anyway, that itinerary will help you at least get through. If you only have the one day, it will get you through the pavement. I do add on some really cool stuff to it, though, if you have a little more time. So super exciting. But let's start with our exploration of this park. Basically, when you're coming in, so you're going to most likely be staying in the town of Torrey, which is the gateway town to Capitol Reef. It's only 5-10 minutes outside of the park. So it's historically been a very small, sleepy town. Every time we go back, though, it's like, oh,
stuff is growing.
Yeah, they're adding Airbnbs. They've got way more restaurants than they ever had when I visited the park growing up.
Yeah, you'd have to almost take all your food with you.
Yeah. And so you'll probably be staying in Torrey. It's a great location. It should basically have everything you need, just on a small town feel, at a small town scale. And so this really is your gateway into Capitol Reef. And so you're driving the highway from Torrey. You're heading towards Capitol Reef. The views are all around you already. I mean, it's beautiful from the get-go. And as you're driving the highway into Capitol Reef towards the visitor center, you'll pass a couple of viewpoints of note. There is some hiking out here. So basically, what you're looking for, the Goosenecks overlook, you'll see Sunset Point, you'll see Panorama Point. And these are probably kind of the first things that you're really going to hit of note as you're entering the park.
And honestly, these are some of my favorite places to see during golden hour.
Yeah.
And so whether morning or evening, these are some of our favorite places to come and snap a few pictures, especially Panorama Point. It's the perfect name. You just kind of stand there and you just like look all around you and you're just like, wow, what an amazing place.
Well, and the thing about that is, and Panorama Point's so cool.
Yeah.
But that really is your first view of the Water Pocket Fold, which is why Capitol Reef is protected as a national park.
Right.
So the Water Pocket Fold, we will talk about that in detail in the Capitol Reef Fun Facts episode because it's such a big deal to this park. But basically what you're seeing is just a fold in the Earth's crust, and you can see it so well from this area, these viewpoints here.
Yeah.
And so that also adds like an extra layer of appreciation because it's like you'll hear about the Water Pocket Fold as you're going through Capitol Reef, but unless you leave the pavement, you're really not seeing what the Water Pocket Fold is. You know, in its immensity and in its craziness.
Yeah.
Except from these viewpoints here.
Yeah. And it's super interesting. You know, you mentioned, so let's take the name just for a second, Capitol Reef. And the Water Pocket Fold, like from a little bit further out, like say from Panorama Point, you're looking at it. The reason that it has the word reef in its name is because for a lot of the settlers and pioneers and people that were crossing the country, it was like a great barrier reef to them. It was something that was a huge obstacle in their travel, and they had to go all the way around it and things like that. It was just kind of dangerous. It was very foreboding for people. So that's where the name reef came from, but you can really see this Water Pocket Fold. And we'll, like you said, we'll talk so much about this in the Fun Facts episode, but you kind of can see it's like a spine. It's a spine of red rock that's just jutting up into the sky. And as you approach it from this direction, it is absolutely phenomenal. And you can really appreciate it from this direction.
Yeah, that's just so cool. So those are those viewpoints. Definitely worth a stop. It doesn't take very long. And so that's Highway 24. Just kidding. There's a little bit more. So if you want to do a nice hike, the hike to Chimney Rock is right in this area. And then you'll keep driving Highway 24 east and you'll pass the turnoff to the visitor center. We'll come back to that because this is another area that is just really cool.
It's amazing. It's kind of the heart of everything that's on the pavement.
But we're not turning in right now. We're going to keep going on the highway for a second. And you go a little bit past the turnoff to the visitor center. And that's where you'll find the Hickman Bridge Trail.
which is one of my favorite arches in all of Utah.
It's really cool.
I love the Hickman Bridge. It's so cool.
And this trail it's really popular. It's one of the main trails that people want to do when they come to Capitol Reef. And as we mentioned before, this national park has some really cool arches.
It's on our Christmas ornament for Capitol Reef.
You know what? The other cool thing about Hickman Bridge, so you'll do the hike and you'll make it to the bridge, which is just another word for an arch, basically. I know geologically there's a difference.
Right, but sometimes, there is a difference between an arch and a bridge, and sometimes the names are wrong.
Right.
And so it's like, how is this a bridge or an arch? What made
they're
this?
all arches to me.
It is okay to call them all arches. And so it's just fine, because I think this one actually is an arch.
An arch and not a bridge.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. Don't quote us on that.
Because I don't think the pioneers or the settlers were that specific on, but what formed this geologic formation?
But anyway, it's a really cool big arch that you can walk underneath and kind of hang out around.
Mm-hmm.
But the other cool thing about this trail, and why I think it's definitely worth doing besides just seeing the arch, is that you also have really cool views of Capitol Dome, which is the other half of the name, Capitol Reef.
Exactly. We talked about reef, now we get to the Capitol.
Yeah, so the name is really weird. This park name is weird.
Right.
Capitol Reef, if you really think about it. But this is the other half, is all these big giant monoliths that look like a Capitol building, something that you would see in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the other half, is you have Capitol Dome in front of you as you're hiking up the Hickman Bridge Trail. From basically the very beginning, you'll notice it right in front of you. And that is the other part of the namesake for this national park.
It's so funny. All the other Utah parks, most of the other Utah parks, like haven't, like on the east side, it's like Canyonlands, arches. Oh, so that's what I'm going to go see. And then on the west side, it's Bryce Canyon. Okay, so I'm going to see Bryce Canyon. Zion, I'm going to see Zion. And then Capitol Reef is just like a mishmash of everything.
What is that? Yeah. Yeah. So
where did this name come from? Are we seeing land formations like arches and canyonlands? Are we seeing the name of something specific? I don't know. Very funny naming of this place.
It is. But that's why you need to hike to Hickman Bridge beyond just seeing the arch.
Which may be an arch.
Yeah, well, I'm calling it an arch.
The naming is so funny.
So anyway, so that's Hickman Bridge. And then also in this area, you're kind of still in the historic area of Capitol Reef, even though you're along Highway 24. So that's where you'll also find the petroglyph panel, which is really cool. That has a lot of Native American petroglyphs that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Really without much of a hike. You're just walking on boardwalks for a minute. You'll see the Fruita Schoolhouse. The Hunan Cabin is along the highway here. But that's Highway 24 through the park.
Right.
Like, that's your main road through the park.
It is such a short section of road.
Yeah, and that's what there is to do along the pavement in that area. So now we're backtracking just a tiny bit. 5 minutes.
Right.
To go back to that turnoff to the visitor center and to the actual Fruita Historic District.
I think this is part of why people think of Capitol Reef as just like
a drive-through.
It's a drive-through park, but also it's just like, it's so small. You don't even need, let's go to the big names in Utah, and you just kind of drive through Capitol Reef National Park in like 10 to 15 minutes tops.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you don't take any of the side roads or anything, if you're just kind of driving through, that's it. We just spent, 10 minutes talking about what you can do along the highway that goes through the park.
Exactly.
So, but if you cut down towards the visitor center and hit the Fruita Historic District, then you're getting into the historic stuff, but you're also getting into the Scenic Drive area,
mm-hmm.
which has some really cool hikes and things to do down in that area. So definitely turn off here. You'll pass the visitor center, the picnic area, the campground. All of that is right here in the Fruita Historic District.
What we're offering you, by the way, is Capitol Reef is a north to south park. Really. And so if you go east to west, it's like taking one slice of bread out of a loaf of bread. And so if you go north and south, like if you cut off to Fruita, you do the other pavement north and south, there's still so much more that you can have.
You can have the whole loaf.
The whole loaf of bread.
What are your favorite things in Fruita, John?
I guess speaking as it's pretty close to lunchtime right now. So I'm speaking with my stomach at the moment. And my favorite thing about Fruita is probably the Gifford House.
Yes.
And we've talked about that in so many other podcasts.
The Gifford House is where you'll get the famous fruit pies that you'll find in Capitol Reef. You'll see them all over Instagram. Okay, that's the Gifford House. My favorite is strawberry rhubarb or wild berry. That one's really good too.
I love the apple pie. They had a peach pie once and a cherry pie once that I've tried. Oh my gosh.
We've tried them all. I like the mixed berry because it's like a crisp. It has the like granola topping. So I really like that one.
It's also Pam Beasley's favorite yogurt flavor.
Oh, really?
Mixed berry.
And then the strawberry rhubarb. I love rhubarb in things.
I think I love strawberry rhubarb, but I don't think I've ever had rhubarb outside of strawberry
you don't really eat
rhubarb.
It plain. Yeah, it's got to be added to
Oh,
something.
I just love rhubarb. What am I going to do with it? It's like peanut butter and jelly. You don't really eat jelly by itself.
No, we did once because I forgot to bring peanut butter. And we were on a back road in Death Valley and very far from anything. And all we had was stale bread and jelly. And everybody was so disappointed.
Our kids still laugh about the jam sandwiches.
So anyway, don't do that. Get a strawberry rhubarb pie.
Yes.
Those are so good. But the whole reason that those fruit pies are here is because, well, I mean, the name Fruita kind of gives it away. But this is a Mormon settlement from the 1800s. And when they got here, you're right by the Fremont River. It's beautiful. And there are orchards everywhere. So they planted all these orchards. They planted all these fruit trees when they got to the area. I would imagine it probably was pretty dead when they got there. I mean, you do have the river for water, but they planted so many trees that now you have this beautiful oasis in the middle of the desert with, I mean, these orchards are crazy. I feel like there's 17 or somewhere around there, like so many orchards. And I'm just reading this off the website. They have apple, peach, cherry, pear, plum, apricot, and almond trees.
When they're in season, you can just walk through the orchards and eat fruit directly off of the trees.
Yeah, it's really cool because you can go in and actually, so the website says that you don't have to pay for it if you just walk around the orchard and pick fruit and eat it.
If you're grazing the fruit orchard.
Yeah. But if you want to take some home with you, then it's very inexpensive to gather it up and take it with you too. So really cool. I mean, that's something that I can't think of another national park that is really like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like you said, they really made, this was a Mormon settlement, and one of Brigham Young's goals in sending out and making all these settlements was to make the desert bloom. And this place really did. It's
beautiful. I mean, there's so many big trees in this area. So we like to hang out. We'll hang out in the orchards. We really like the picnic area. We've done Easter egg hunts in the picnic area. One year, I don't know if I'm sure you remember this, but we got to Capitol Reef and it was a huge rainstorm. It's kind of scary sometimes when there's massive amounts of rain coming down in the desert.
In southern Utah in particular, with all the red rock and the slot canyons. With all the flash
flooding and everything. Yep. But we saw waterfalls just coming down the cliffs towards Fruita, into Fruita. And it was amazing.
It was incredible.
I have never seen that before. So,
well, if you're driving further out towards the Behunan cabin and stuff like that, you have all of these cliffs that you're driving past that normally just look like cliffs, but it was water pouring over onto the road. Because
this is a drainage system. I mean, this is where the river goes through. There's offshoots of the river, smaller creeks and stuff in this area. It feels like an oasis. So it's really cool to come in here, grab some pies, go to the picnic area, go to the visitor center. We love the campground.
The campground is so much fun.
It's beautiful. It's big and grassy, and You have those huge cottonwood trees that will snow down cotton on you during the time, the right time of year.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, you can get snowed on in the summer at Capitol Reef National Park because there is so much cotton that's just floating through the air.
And we've been camping at this campground for years and years, and it has gotten so much more competitive to get sites here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really has. I remember a time when it was all first come, first serve, and it never filled.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, yeah, you can just show up whenever, and there's always a really nice spot waiting for you.
I attribute it to the popularity of the pies.
I know.
Because sometimes you have to get to the Gifford house early to get the pies.
Well, you can walk there right from the campground. That's the problem.
Well, that's exactly why. And so you have all the people that are out in Torrey that can't get pies because you have to... this isn't exactly true. But
no, it's not true.
They have plenty of pies.
And there's a couple of cool trails right here near the campground and the Gifford house, too. So one of those being Cohab Canyon, which climbs the cliffs. Like John mentioned, there's like just big sheer cliffs kind of surrounding Fruita. And so Cohab Canyon climbs one of these cliffs up to the top, and you have really cool overlook views of Fruita.
It's really cool, too, because before you get to the big views, you do kind of go through like these potholy little slot canyons.
Yeah, they're just like really short ones, but they're kind of fun to explore. The kids had a heyday the last time we were on there.
Yeah, they were small enough to climb into some of those potholes, which is kind of fun.
So that one's fun. You've also got the Fremont River Trail that leaves right from basically the campground, and it will stay flat and along the river. We see a lot of deer along that one, which is cool. And it kind of takes you through some of the orchards that a lot of people don't know exist.
Yep.
And then it will kind of leave the river and go up into the cliffs at the end. But you don't have to do that part if you want to keep it a nice, easy stroll.
Right.
So that's a really nice one, too.
The views are so cool from the top of both of these, though.
Yeah.
I love the top because the spine of the water pocket fold that goes north and south is so cool to see at a height.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And I love overlooking Fruita, too, because, again, it's just this big green space with all these trees. They have horses.
That barn is really iconic.
Yeah. And it's gorgeous. So either of those trails or both are definitely worth your time. And then from there, so after that, and you pass the campground in your car, that's when you hit the scenic drive of the park. This is the only part of the park that you have to pay to access.
Which is crazy for such a beautiful place.
I know. So it's like, if you want to drive the scenic drive, then you'll pay your entrance fee and go on to the scenic drive. They've done a ton of work on the scenic drive over the last few years. And so they're wrapping that up right now. I'm excited to see what they've done. But basically, you have this scenic drive that it goes south for a little while. It only takes half an hour to drive to the end of it. But there's a couple of really cool things along the scenic drive that are definitely worth the entrance fee and the time.
Right.
So the first and my favorite is the Cassidy Arch Trail.
Oh my gosh, the Cassidy Arch, named after Butch Cassidy,
who is said to have hidden in these cliffs.
Yes.
Why he's on the run from the law.
Oh man, well, when you get back in here and you kind of explore Capitol Reef, you leave the pavement a little bit. It's amazing how much of a labyrinth this area can be.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that if
there's a lot of hiding spots.
If you were an outlaw, southern Utah is an amazing place.
Yeah.
Because it's probably much harder to track on red rock than it would be on sand or whatever, you know. And so I love this. I love the idea that Butch Cassidy and his gang hid out in here.
Yeah, and what's cool about this trail, so you start, it's about a 4-mile trail, a little less than 4 miles. You gain a fair amount of elevation. It's not an easy trail by any means, and it's not something you're going to want to do in the middle of the day because there's no shade. And a good portion of the trail is just going up switchbacks up, again, these huge cliffs that kind of drop into this area. But what's cool about it, so you start on the Grand Wash Trail, and the Grand Wash is basically just a giant slot canyon that actually connects this part, the scenic drive of Capitol Reef, to the Highway 24 part of Capitol Reef.
Mm-hmm.
So you can access the Grand Wash from either side, but we like to go in the Scenic Drive side because we like to hike Cassidy Arch at the same time. Basically, so you're walking in this big wash and you have these huge cliffs on both sides of you. And then you cut up to the Cassidy Arch Trail, you go up the cliffs, you're following cairns along the slick rock. It feels like a big adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to get lost, actually, as you get to the top if you're not watching for those cairns.
Yes.
You know, it's not, in a lot of places, it's not like a trail that you can really clearly follow because they can't cut out a trail through all this rock. So look for the cairns.
Yes, and don't build your own.
Yeah.
Because you'll lead people off in all different directions.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it can get a little confusing up there. And then what I think is the coolest is like you come around the bend and you're like, oh my gosh, are we here yet? Because it feels kind of long.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there. And then if you're not paying attention or if there's not a lot of people here, you might not even notice that the arch is right in front of you.
Yeah.
Because you're standing basically on top of it. And you've got to look down, and sometimes it gets camouflaged with the cliffs behind it.
Taking a picture of it is hard.
Yeah.
Because it's camouflaged into the background and surroundings.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It kind of sneaks up on you. We've seen rappellers going down the arch before, but you can walk out and you can stand on top of the arch and get a really cool photo. So it's a neat trail. It feels very adventurous. It feels like you're just out in the middle of nowhere like Butch Cassidy would have been. And you get to see a really cool arch too.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
So I love that one. I'm very partial to that one. I've grown up doing that one. It's just, I don't know. For some reason, my mom really loves that one too. She always made us do it when we'd go to Capitol Reef. So.
And she's firmly against outlaws.
She is. She is.
But once again, when you're up a little bit higher, kind of like we talked about with some of the hikes around Fruita, and then this one, when you're a little bit higher, those massive stone monoliths, so just those big, massive stone formations that pop up, you can see them really cool from the tops of things.
You wanted to mention that because from Cassidy Arch, you see one called Fern's Nipple.
Yes.
Which you'll see, we have pictures on Dirt in My Shoes that have Fern's Nipple. I did not tell you what you're looking at on those pictures, but
just like a little arrow pointing at, this is Fern's Nipple.
It's a very prominent rock formation from this trail. So you'll notice it.
Yep, it's true. One of the funnest named formations in all of Capitol Reef.
It's surprising how many rocks are named after someone's nipple in southern Utah. Because there's some other ones I know about too. And you look at the map, you will notice it as you travel through the Mighty Five. And then you've got the Tetons, which my favorite national park. So
man,
there you go.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut. We're going to move on.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's Cassidy Arch. And then you continue along the Scenic Drive. And I just like it because it's just really beautiful scenery everywhere. But really the next place to stop. So you get to the very end of the pavement of the Scenic Drive. And here's our first real off-roading experience.
Oh,
We're leaving the pavement here for a minute.
Capitol Gorge?
Yeah, that's the Capitol Gorge Road.
I love Capitol Gorge.
It's so cool.
Okay, so what's so special about Capitol Gorge is, and you don't even need, it's not considered a 4x4 road.
No, you can drive it in a car under good weather circumstances. It's a good dirt road.
And if you have a convertible, or if you have like a Jeep or a vehicle you can take the top off of.
A sunroof.
Oh my gosh.
You can open up.
This is the perfect place for that kind. Those types of vehicles were built for Capitol Gorge because you just pull into this dirt road, you drive in, and just all of a sudden, like the road, what's in front of you is no longer what's interesting. The canyon walls just tower above you on both sides.
It's a slot canyon that you can drive through. Basically.
Yeah. And it's amazing.
A natural one. It's actually the pioneers used it to get through Capitol Reef and through these rock formations, but it's natural.
Right.
And so it's really cool. It's pretty narrow in some places. You will have to drive slowly and with patience because you've got cars going both directions. But yeah, it's amazing just to have these huge, beautiful red rock cliffs towering over you in all directions.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So it's a fun drive. It's not very long, but it's so scenic. And then when you get to the end of it, you can hike the Pioneer Register if you want to see where the pioneers etched their names as they were traveling through this area.
Which is surprisingly high on the walls.
Yeah. It must have eroded since then.
I think that they hung somebody over the edge and was like, just chisel my name in, Stan.
Yeah, so you can see that. You can hike to the Golden Throne, which we've done before, which is a cool hike. There's a few things you can do here, but even if you don't want to hike, just driving the road down in this area is absolutely worth your time.
Yeah, and you're driving to the heart of the water pocket fold in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you're going right through it.
Exactly. You're driving through this massive erosional landform, and it's just amazing.
It is.
Being inside of it. You're inside of it when you're in Capitol Gorge. And like you mentioned, the hiking to the Golden Throne, you're just wandering around and everything feels adventurous and everything. It's just like, what's around the next turn? You never know. It's so cool.
It is. But that's also the end of the road here. So that's your end of the scenic drive. So you just turn around, go back up. And that's all the pavement, basically, that you'll hit in Capitol Reef.
But what's so cool is like you have Capitol Gorge here. That's just one cross section going east and west into the water pocket fold. And as you look north and south, there are so many that you like, if you could just get on a mule, you could go explore everything and go into all of these different canyons. There's so much to explore in this park because we've only covered like this tiny subsection of the entire park at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what you're going to see if you're here for a day. You're probably going to stick to the pavement and there's plenty to see. It's really cool.
Right.
It's absolutely beautiful. But now we left a little time here at the end.
Yes.
To jump onto some of these unpaved sections of the park that are just a huge adventure. So cool. So much fun. So unique. And you'll feel differently about Capitol Reef after you go through some of these other sections too. It's just like, for me, it takes this park from being like really beautiful and really cool up to my favorite national park in Utah. I mean, that's the jump. That's what you need to do, though, to get to that jump, I think. If you just stay surface level, you'll be like, yeah, Capitol Reef's pretty neat. It's fine. We
went on a couple nice hikes and had, a beautiful scenic drive. And the reality is, most people visiting are including it. It's like a stopover point on their way to the other Utah parks. And that's fine. But what we want to do now is make it your destination.
Okay, so there's basically two roads that we want to talk about that even as a first-time visitor, if you don't have a lot of experience, like, off-roading and jeeping and stuff, which is very big in Utah, you should still be able to do one or both of these sections of the park.
Exactly.
For the most part. Maybe we should start with the easier one.
And you don't necessarily have to have any technical skills.
No, you need to have a good high clearance 4x4 vehicle.
Right. My dad, we did these in a Jeep and we were in great shape. My dad took his truck and it was a little tight in places.
On the Burr Trail, which is what we'll talk about now. I don't think he would have taken his truck to Cathedral Valley, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
Right, exactly.
But the Burr Trail actually, so a lot of it is paved outside of the national park or just like really good dirt road. If you look at the map at Capitol Reef, how it's so long north to south, and there's this teeny tiny section of the park that you'll cross through when you drive the Burr Trail. And the Loop the Fold actually is what the whole thing is called. So if you'll see it as both Burr Trail or Loop the Fold.
Right.
So you go through just a little tiny cross section of Capitol Reef, but holy cow, it's cool. So
it's so cool. The map is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like when you're looking at this, and it's so funny. You go so far out of in order to connect the pavement part up north, you have to go all the way out and around, and then you come back to another cross section of the north-south park.
Well, it's because you're still dealing with the water pocket fold. You're still dealing with that Great Barrier Reef that nobody can get past.
Exactly.
And so you can't stay in the park and get to this area. You've got to go out and around and over at a place that makes sense to cross the water pocket fold a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you're actually driving out of Capitol Reef to Torrey, and then you're going south on Highway 12 to Boulder, which is a cool drive in and of itself.
Yeah.
But then you get to Boulder, and then you cut over on the Burr Trail. And there's some really cool stuff you can do. Like you'll see some smaller slot canyons and a lot of really cool overlooks and things like that. But really, for me, the highlight of the Burr Trail is when you cross that national park boundary and then you hit the dirt.
Right.
And this is the hardest section, actually, of the dirt on this route.
Right.
Is when you cross into Capitol Reef. And you can go up, there's a side road that you can go up off of the Burr Trail up to the Strike Valley Overlook, which is one of the coolest overlooks in Capitol Reef. It's killer cool.
It's really cool. You get to see the water pocket fold from a perspective that you can't find in many other places, it seems like.
And what's cool, okay, so the reason that I love the Burr Trail, and if you want to go to the Strike Valley Overlook, that is harder jeeping. That is the part that your dad in his truck was just like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into?
I know. He was determined and he made it. But yeah.
He made it and we were okay, but
it was hairy.
And the Jeep was fine.
Yeah, no problem.
There's just a lot of boulders. You're like down in a riverbed. And so you're going up and over a lot of boulders and stuff, and the Jeep did just great.
Really big gullies. Yeah. Don't overestimate your vehicle's actual abilities and try to do this. You'll get stuck and bad things can happen. But yeah.
So you can go this side trail up to the Strike Valley Overlook and you can see the overlook here. Or if that just sounds like too much and you don't want to do that, you can keep going on the Burr Trail and you'll get to the Burr Trail switchbacks.
Which blows you away.
The Burr Trail switchbacks I'm trying to decide. It's definitely in like my top 2 favorite views of Capitol Reef.
Yeah, because
in the whole park.
Well, this is one spot where the only song that I can think that kind of illustrates this is from Hamilton when they sing like the world turned upside down kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. This song outside of the Revolutionary War is talking about Capitol Reef for sure, because all the land formations, everything just seems so ski-wampus.
It really messes with your eyes, and your brain, because you get to the Burr Trail switchbacks and the whole world, it just seems like the axis is skewed.
Yeah, it feels like you have an inner ear problem.
It does.
Because if you're trying to walk forward and just you keep
everything's tilted.
Yeah. Your head keeps trying to figure it out and you can't compute over and over again. And it's like, oh my gosh, this place is nuts. The whole world is tilted. The road, we have some pictures of this, and the road is level, but everything else is just, what is going on?
It looks like when I took the picture, it looks like I was drunk. I couldn't keep the camera straight.
Uh-huh.
That's how it looks.
Exactly.
So it's crazy. One of my favorite parts of Capitol Reef, honestly.
Yeah, and then you get to, when we did the Canyonlands episode, we talked about getting down to the White Rim Road with the Schaefer Trail. This is the equivalent of that, going down these switchbacks. It is really crazy. Because you're losing a ton of elevation really fast. And if you look at the map, it doesn't even compute.
It's just a big blob where the switchbacks are.
Exactly.
And you're working your way down the water pocket fold, which is cool. So you're actually driving into the water pocket fold and then switchbacking it down with your car. And all around you, it's just these rocks are so messed up.
Yeah.
And so it's really a cool experience. And then from there, you're down in the Strike Valley, which if you went to the overlook, this is the part that you were looking at from there. And then from there, it's mostly flat as you just work your way back north to the highway. But you're driving right along the water pocket fold this whole time. And so it's just spectacular scenery as you work your way back up there.
But it's so interesting because as you're working your way north from this section, because the water pocket fold, everything that was tilted, it's as if the whole landscape was tilted so that the east side of the park is down and the west side of the park is up. And so you're seeing the water pocket fold from a completely different erosion perspective. When you're on the west side and on the pavement doing the scenic road, you're seeing the exposed rock as the west side was lifted up and then cut off as it eroded. From the east side, going up the Strike Valley Road, kind of a situation here, you're seeing everything from a totally different vantage point. And you're like, wow, this is how it looks from this side? What? You're seeing the Golden Throne, you're seeing the whole world just like raising up to these really cool formations. And it's just it's really neat. And everything looks different from this side.
Now, this is one area of the park that when we go back, like we want to dig in a lot more here, because if you're looking for the big adventurous stuff, I mean, there's slot canyons galore along the Nodum Bullfrog Road, which is this road that connects to the Burr Trail and the switchbacks and then takes you back up to the highway. And so you've got like Muley Twist and you've got the Halls Creek Narrows, and then you've got a whole bunch of smaller slot canyons through here as well that are just kind of off to the side. There's a campground that's very
primitive.
Yes. Out here. And so if that's your jam and that's what you want to go there to do, you can camp at the Cedar Mesa campground, and then you can be pretty close to a lot of these things. It's just an area that is so few people go here and so few people experience the adventures that are out here. But you're not that far from the pavement.
No.
Really. I mean, you do need to go out there prepared and you do need to have the right vehicle, but there's so much to do. And I'm itching to get back in here and to try a few more things.
Yes.
Because the possibilities are so endless. And you wouldn't think so, because like we said, this national park seems kind of small and a lot of people overlook a lot of this really cool stuff. So if you have an extra day or two to spend back in here, I mean, you will. If you're an adventurous person, you will not be disappointed at all by the time you spend here.
Exactly, because like the water pocket fold, this whole park is like 100+ miles north and south. So it's huge north to south, very narrow east to west. But you just have all of these cross sections, and we've only explored like 3 of them. The main road, Highway 24, you've kind of cut into one, but not even all the way across through Capitol Gorge. And then this one at the Burr Trail. But if you look at the map, you can see all these other cross sections going in, and it's just, there's so much more to do.
There is. So that's the Burr Trail and the Loop the Fold area, just so you know it's here.
Right.
If you have that extra time. So cool. And they have brochures, full packets that you can get at the visitor center. You're always going to want to stop in at the visitor center before you start one of these off-road adventures, just to make sure the roads are okay. They will have current updates on those and conditions, because if the rain comes through, I mean, who knows what it's going to look like afterwards. So do keep that in mind. And doing the Burr Trail is the easier of the 2 areas that we wanted to talk about. And so let's jump to the one that takes maybe a little bit more preparation, a little bit more planning, a little bit more of like paying attention to what the road is going to look like and what you need to do. And that is Cathedral Valley,
which I'm sure so many people have seen pictures of. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the most famous pictures that you'll see of Cathedral Valley are of the Temple of the Sun or the Temple of the Moon, or both. And they're just these huge red rock monoliths that jut out of a pretty flat ground and there's not a lot of other stuff around them. And so it looks like they were built there.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And the whole like front face of the Temple of the Sun and Moon, like both front faces are pretty sheer, almost as if someone just like meant for it to look that way. I mean, it looks sculpted.
Yes. I've talked about Last Airbender on some of the other episodes that we've done. But this is one where if you're an earthbender, Capitol Reef, the Cathedral Valley area is where you would expect to find earthbenders. Because this is where just the earth just comes out. And it's like, how is this here naturally? Because it doesn't look like it fits. It really doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, and the cool thing is like the Temple of the Sun and Moon are the most famous ones. And so you'll see those ones in pictures a lot. If you haven't seen them, go Google it. It's so pretty. But, you know, there are a lot of unnamed ones or ones that just people don't really know about in this whole area once you hit down into Cathedral Valley. There's a bunch.
They're everywhere.
So
they're all over the
really
place.
Impressive. What's cool about Cathedral Valley, so why I say you need a little bit more preparation here is you are going to hit some areas of the road that are just a little bit harder to navigate. So the first being to even get onto the Cathedral Valley Road from the main side. So if you want to do a loop, which is how we recommend it and how we've done it, then you're going to want to start with the river ford. And so there is an area where you actually have to drive through the Fremont River to the other side, which is why, again, you'll want high clearance. You'll want a good vehicle for this. And you'll need to watch those water levels. Just check in at the visitor center to make sure it's okay. But if it's been raining or something, those water levels might be too high for you to drive through.
That's a crappy way to end your trip.
Well, you want to start with the river ford because you want to make sure you can get through it before, if you start on the other end of the loop and save the river ford for last, you could get to the end of your day and not be able to get through the river, you know, if the water levels are too high. So we start with the river ford so that you know, can I get through this or not?
Right, exactly.
So you go through the river, and then once you get past the river, you get to what are the bentonite hills. And these are, so bentonite clay, it's like a really goopy clay.
It's super goopy.
And so this will be a problem area if it's recently rained again. It's really not a good area to try to get through if it's wet.
Right.
But the reason that you're going to want to see the bentonite hills is because it's like a bluish purple. And a lot of times it's layered with some white or some red even.
It's so cool.
You get so many cool colors of these hills they're amazing colors.
It's a really unique geologic layer. You can find it all over the country in the Southwest. And so it's really fun when it pops up and you get to see it. But Capitol Reef has a huge section of it. And it's fun to tour through it as you do the Cathedral Valley section.
And the Cathedral Valley, the road to Cathedral Valley goes right through these bentonite hills. So you're driving through these colorful hills of clay.
Yes.
And they're really cool. And so that's another area, though, that you'll want to pay attention to, because if it's recently rained, it can get really goopy and slippery and gross and hard to get through, regardless of what vehicle you're driving.
You won't be able to get through it.
Some people, I mean, if you're going to get stuck, it's probably going to be there if it's been raining. And, and then there's other sections, like as you're approaching Cathedral Valley from both sides. So either way you go in on either road, you'll go through the bentonite hills on both roads. And then you'll get to areas that are just super sandy.
Right.
And so that's also what you'll need to pay attention to. Again, just stop in at the visitor center for current conditions. But if it's really sandy, there's a possibility of you getting stuck back in there as well. So all that to say, once you get through those little hazards.
We sound like Gimli talking about how to get to Mordor. And after that, it gets even better, you know.
I know.
A vast landscape of bentonite hills as far as the eye can see.
And then sinking sand. And
exactly.
I know. So you get past that stuff, and then you get back into Cathedral Valley. And it's a full day trip. This will take you all day to get back in here. But then you're surrounded by those giant red rock monoliths. You just have so many cool viewpoints you can stop at. I don't know. That's like the part of Capitol Reef that makes my heart so happy.
Right.
Just driving through and looking at all this, stopping where we're interested, taking pictures, exploring a little bit. But holy cow, like it's so phenomenal back in there. It's absolutely gorgeous.
And so many things you just wouldn't expect to be all mashed together into one section of the planet.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the Bentonite Hills, you've got these really unique cathedrals jutting out of the earth. And then you'll also see things like there's like Glass Mountain.
Glass Mountain. So it's
gypsum stuff and like the gypsum sinkhole.
Well, so go back to Glass Mountain, though, because this was a big surprise for me the first time we went back in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's right by the Temple of the Sun and Moon. So, like, you're really excited to see the Temple of the Sun and Moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you see this turnoff for Glass Mountain, and it's a big dome, like a big thing that looks like it's made of glass.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's the mineral buildup. And you look down at it and everything is just like, it's like crystals that are glowing in the sun. And It's crazy.
It's so cool.
It's like nobody talks about this because we're all here to see the cathedrals, right?
Exactly.
But Glass Mountain is super cool. You mentioned the gypsum sinkhole. So it's just this giant sinkhole in the ground that you can go look down into. And so there's just some really cool things along the way as you're back in here. But I mean, for me, of course, like the cathedrals definitely like stole the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially when you get right down there at the base of the Temple of the Sun. It's phenomenal.
It's so big.
So cool.
So big right there. Man.
I've got a t-shirt that has the Temple of the Sun on it.
Yes.
That I wear all the time. I love that shirt. But it just makes me happy.
Does that make you like we've been watching Stargate SG-1. Does that make you a Ra, like Egyptian Ra worshiper?
Maybe. It kind of feels that way. It's so cool. So you get just a lot of different landscapes as you're driving through here. The emphasis is not as much on the Water Pocket Fold as it is on the Burr Trail. So both experiences they're just totally different.
Yeah. They don't even resemble each other.
No.
This whole park is so different. Like the northern section with the Cathedral Valley looks totally different from what you'll experience along the pavement, you know, in the Fruita area with those arches and things that you're hiking to. And then the Burr Trail. Everything is such a unique, different experience, which is why this last half of this whole episode has been like, when this park becomes your destination, these are some things that you can do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's 3 days worth of stuff easily if you just drive the roads. But if you want to do any extra hiking on some of those longer trails, exploring, rappelling, anything like that, going through the Halls Creek Narrows, anything like that, like you'll need even more time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why over the years, I'm back in Capitol Reef again and again and again. I love it. I love the way that it makes me feel when I'm there. I feel like I am somewhere that's still kind of a secret because, again, like when you leave that pavement, you leave most of the people too.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it is getting busier, it's like there are still so many pockets of this park where you can go and not see another person all day.
Right.
Which is really cool. And then you just get the best of all that southern Utah scenery all packed into one very small area.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Capitol Reef is just incredibly special to me. I think that you definitely should give it more time, as much time as you can. If you only have a day, that's fine. But I will always encourage you to tack on another day or two.
Yes.
So that you can explore some of these other areas.
So then for your task today, let's talk about that. Like, what are people most excited about in terms of like their trip to Capitol Reef? Are they most excited for Cathedral Valley? Are they most excited for the Burr Trail? Or are they most excited to see the conglomeration of all of the Utah National Parks all into one little section, which is the pavement area around Fruita?
Yeah, so head to the Dirt in My Shoes Instagram or Facebook page. We'll have a post there where you can chime in. Let us know. If you haven't been to the park, just pick the area that sounds the coolest that you really want to see. If you have been to the park, tell us what your favorite thing was. We'd love to hear from you about what you love about Capitol Reef.
Exactly.
And don't forget that the Capitol Reef itinerary has just been released. So you can also go to dirtandmyshoes.com to get that itinerary for 25% off. You'll want to use the coupon code REEF25. So that's a big deal. We're so excited about that. Thank you for exploring Capitol Reef with us today. We absolutely love this national park, and hopefully you're excited to go visit it too. And hopefully you're excited to get some of that Capitol Reef dirt in your shoes.